Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today I'm really excited. It's been a while since I've done one of these. I don't know why. I think it's because a lot of the time they don't get a lot of views, only because people are like, oh, I already watched the game, I know what happens. But what I want to do today is I want to do an in-depth analysis of Tundra versus VP. Tundra's been popping off, a lot of tweets going around, a lot of hype. I know there's Reddit posts hyping them up. Tundra's been playing great. They're a fun team to watch. They're excelling, and I want to see why. I know people are like, they're so good, but I want to talk about why. I want to see why and give my thoughts on why, and I think it's going to be really fun. So nonetheless, smash the like button if you like these type of videos. I know they're a bit niche and the audience is generally a bit smaller, but if you're one of those people who does like these and wants to see more, click the like button. And by the way, in terms of Guess the Rank, because I do get questions about Guess the Rank, I'm going to do another one within the week. So I got you guys. By the way, guys, if you want to become absolutely broken, well, what you need to do is sign up to the gameleap website down below right now. The reason why you should do that is because every single day we post a new video there. Content that you simply just will never get on YouTube, we post every single day to the website. It's really top tier stuff. I'm very proud of what I make over there. We also have other creators, many of my great friends who are top tier Dota players, creating guides about different heroes, different roles, different items, skill builds, talent builds, everything you need to know to get to the next rank. And lastly, but also importantly, there's currently a 50% off sale going on for gameleap right now. And yeah, hope to see you guys there. Click the link, top description. It will automatically apply the code SUMMER for you. If it doesn't, the code is SUMMER. But yeah, I'll see you guys there. And let's get into the video. So in terms of bans, Tundra goes for Phoenix, Shadow Demon. They go for Pango, Bat, just very meta heroes. Honestly, Shadow Demon, Phoenix is a little bit weird. I think those are just VP specials. I believe VP is known for their Shadow Demon, and so it gets banned out. What's really weird though about Tundra is this first pick Night Stalker. This is clearly an answer, or Tundra's opinion, on how VP likes to play. And funny enough, I looked at this match and I'm like, yep, VP is gonna adjust. They're gonna adjust, okay? They just lost a game to Tundra. I think game 1 even had Night Stalker as well. Pretty sure it did. By the way, this ends up being Night Stalker position 5. But you'd think they'd adjust. Now, what am I talking about adjust? Well, the reason why this Night Stalker ends up being so good this game is literally the hero that they pick into it, which, a lot of people are picking, but Omni Knight is countered by Night Stalker. It's a really, really nice answer for a couple of reasons. It's a nice answer, number 1, because Heavenly Grace cannot dispel Night Stalker's silence, so that's really nice in the mid to late game especially, right? There's that. And Omni Knight lineups don't tend to end the game, so Night Stalker can, Night Stalker can basically get some levels up. He can get some levels up and come online. Gyrocopter I actually would say is good against Night Stalker though. It just is, Rocket Barrage kind of destroys him, Homing Missile's good at tracking him, so that's not necessarily a good matchup. And so I kind of understand even why, if they were a response pick to this, you would consider Gyro. They end up going Luna on Tundra. I don't think this hero is particularly good against Gyro or Omni. I think it's just a good lane with Night Stalker. It's a hero that can, it's a ranged hero that can sit behind Night Stalker. You don't want to pick some melee hero that can potentially get bullied out because Night Stalker can't help you that much. And so Luna is quite nice in that regard. Also, it's Giga Night Vision, so they really want to go aggressive during the night, I could tell you that. Now, next up, VP ends up going for Tidehunter. It's just such a fascinating, almost odd pick to me. I think they just do this because Tidehunter's Gush is good against Luna, kind of. Early on you can pressure her pretty hard with a strong position 4, but most importantly I think it's just the team fight that Omni Knight lacks, you're just really trying to pick this frontline beefcake that can team fight. When you have a position 5 like Omni Knight, you really need that. Most position 5s kind of need it, but Omni Knight's definitely one of them. Now, Tundra ends up going for a response Enigma, and this is giga doubling down on the undispellable disables. What do I mean by that? Kraken Shell is Tidehunter's ability. You guys know that. It purges. You can't purge Black Hole, and you can't purge Crippling Fear. And therefore, it basically sets up for a situation where Tidehunter will consistently not get spells off. And Tide's not used to that. It's also a situation where Heavenly Grace is not nearly as good as it usually is. I said this in my counters video, so Tundra, if you're watching and you guys are gameleap subs, big fan. Nah, but obviously I'm not the originator of that idea. It's been a thing for a while that Black Hole and Midnight Pulse are good against Tide and good against Heavenly Grace, or just Magic Immunity in general, because there's status resist and purges don't work. They don't work, and so it's a good answer to this lineup. So I like this pick from Tundra. It's makes a lot of sense to me here. Another thing I'd like to say that I think is kind of genius here, once again, quadrupling down on the undispellable disables from Doom, you know. But on that note, how I think teams need to continue to punish Omni Knight picks, early Omni Knight 5 picks, are by picking greedy offlaners. Because Omni Knight just generally does not pressure them. You have to keep in mind, even if, you know, if they pick Omni Knight, but they have a Slark and you pick Legion or something along those lines, you could still get, you know, kind of destroyed in lane. So you have to keep in mind the matchup a little bit, right? But Doom is going to do fine against Gyro. Doom has really high armor now. As long as Enigma denies a couple creeps, Doom will do well. And now, so you have this really greedy offlaner in the Doom, or mid, but generally offlaner. You have this really greedy offlaner who's not going to lose lane to an Omni Knight, because he can just more often than not ignore him. And you have this really greedy position 4, who also will not get punished, because there is an Omni Knight. And so that's kind of the thing. I love how Tundra approaches this. VP, in my opinion, just like kind of went for comfort, right? They just really went for this comfort. I think next they pick Wyvern. Yeah, so they pick Wyvern. I understand it. The reason why Wyvern makes sense here is a lot of the time if you can't dispel shit, you try to heal through it. And Wyvern can go lock it. I don't think he does that this game, though. I think he goes for Aether Lens. But I will say that, you know, Winter's Curse, one of the better answers against Enigma, right? One of the better answers against Black Hole. The Q is really good this game, right? High Strength Hero, Kiteable Hero. Wouldn't say it's necessarily good against Enigma, but you get the point. So I get the Wyvern pick. I do. I think it makes some sense. Yeah, I think it's fine. And finally, Tundra finishes it off with Razor. It's really funny. This is like the... this is like the mega... Tundra couldn't pick a more undispellable lineup. What I mean by that is you can't dispel Razor's Link. You can't dispel his ulti, right? You know, you can't really dispel his Q. So it's just one of those games where it's like such a bad Tide game. It's such a bad Heavenly Grace game. And it shows this game. It shows, like, VP picked these heroes that, you know, don't kite in and out, which is generally the counter, right? The counter to, like, this, like, death ball-y, very teamfight heavy is to kind of split push. These heroes can't really do that, right? Wyvern's okay. Gyro Tide, nah, they're pretty slow heroes, right? They don't, like, kill... I mean, I was gonna say they don't kill waves quickly. That's not true. Okay, let's keep going. I think, what did VP finish with? Like, an Ember or something? No, it wasn't Ember. Leshrac, which is fine. This is one of those Leshrac picks where you're like, yeah, it's good. It's good. It's just like... It's fine. It's a good hero against Razor. Magical damage against Razor. Decent laner against Razor. It does a lot of damage to Doom in the early game. It ganks Luna quite effectively. It's good against Nightstalker because even if he silences you, if you have your ulti on, a lot of the time you're fine and you buy Yules. I wouldn't say it's necessarily good against Enigma, but it's probably not great against Enigma, but it's like one of those Lesh games where it's good. They needed a hero that could hit towers, a hero to lane against Razor, so a little bit more damage in the early game because Omni Knight, Tide, and Wyvern all lack damage early on, so Lesh fits the role. It's a good Lesh pick. Definitely can get behind that one. Alright, but that was a pretty long draft analysis. I hope for all of you drafting fanatics or just like game theory or information fanatics, you enjoyed that. It's honestly one of my favorite parts of the game as well. Like, even when I'm watching Noob from UA highlights, I largely pause the video on the draft just to kind of see what people, you know, what they picked in what order and why. Okay, moving ahead to the minute mark in the game, I just want to start by talking about the offlane and really making sure you guys kind of get what I'm saying about, like, picking greedy heroes and playing greedy against Omni. So Snake King on the Enigma, he denied a creep for Doom, pretty standard, right? Just deny a creep for Doom. He has boots, a clarity, and now he's going to block the small camp with his body, proceeds to draw out the large camp, get rid of this mini tomato, farm the tomato, and then farm the other camp as well. And so literally he farms for the first minute. He is a jungle, basically the closest thing you can get to jungle Enigma in a professional match. And I genuinely believe that this is super legit. It's not a meme, because look at Doom. Is Doom gonna win the lane? No. Is Doom gonna do great? No. But is Doom gonna do fine and get levels, which is just what Doom needs? Yes. He's gonna be alright. He's level 2 3/4, and because he has an Enigma on his team, the wave is relatively close to his tower, at least for the earlier portions of the game. So next up, we're going to see the first major play of the game. This game was very static. It's not surprising. Tundra picked, you know, this like farming offlane. VP picked, you know, Omni Knight and Gyro. Mid lane is Lesh against Razor. Generally in that matchup, both people are kind of just scared of each other because both people actually threaten each other, so it just kind of ends up going even and becoming a farming battle, and that's what happened in this game. You can look at the net worths. They're all, relatively similar. Safe laner is close to safe laner, mid laner is close to mid laner, off laner is close to off laner. Obviously, that one's a little bit weird because of the position force, but you get the point. We see our first major gank of the game, though. The Razor TPs in and goes on the gyro. Really beautiful gank. Reason why is, honestly, VP has a bit of a hard time responding to ganks. Leshrac is okay, and I think maybe they could have TP'd Leshrac there, but either way, you want to gank the gyro. He's going to be the majority of their scaling this match. One thing I'd like to note about this game, honestly, I don't want to focus too much on the early game, only because it was really just a lot of farming. Obviously, there's a ton of stuff that you could talk about in the early game, even though it is just farming. There's so many ways to increase your farm and make movements, but that's not the purpose of this video. The main thing I do want to talk about is kind of like Fada's play. First things first, I love his skill build. He was 202, so maxing out the good early game spells, right? Especially Hunter in the Night doubles in attack speed from 1 to 2. Same thing with Void, right? It doubles in damage. So these are really good spells to take early on. He played around that, and basically for the early game, he just scattered rotations and stacks and stuff like that. Now he's going back to max the Crippling Fear, which is the mega value skill for this early game. We kind of talked about why it's so valuable this game, and he's just farming. Like, I don't think people realize how okay it is to farm when your team doesn't want to do anything. At this point in the game, his team clearly just doesn't feel too comfortable in making plays. So he's just kind of shoving in the dead wave. He's taking what he thinks is the wave that usually will get his team killed. Now, if I went back a little bit there, which I'll quickly do, you guys will notice that he did eventually back off the wave and give it to Luna. And that's specifically because certain people show it on the map, right? So this gyro shows top. That basically signals to Fata that, hey, they're probably not here. Could they be? Yeah, they can make some crazy smoke gank, but they're probably not here. You can even see he draws this mega circle on the triangle. He's assuming that there's a smoke egg coming up into that triangle. At least that's the prediction he makes. So much so to the point where it almost seems like he wants to fight them because his Luna TP's back to the tier 3 and actually looks like she's setting up in position to take a team fight. And what do you know? It ends up being a beautiful call by Fada. So like, this is the type of thing where it's just experience. This guy's been playing pro Dota and Dota for the longest of time. Just clearly has such good game sense because he saw the gyro top. He clearly assumed that, hey, they're going to look to make a play. They're going to look to take a tower. And most importantly, what they're also looking to do is take over the top side of the map so they can eventually get Roshan. As you'll see here, the gyrocopter has Ag's Crystallis. If you know anything about this build, it's really good at taking Roshan compared to your average gyro because of the Aghanim Scepter and just the fact that it's all physical damage, which is quite nice. In that regard, right, if VP takes this tower and triangle, they can later on take Roshan. So Tundra, understanding that, they want to take this fight, end up making a really nice read, right? Really nice read from the boys. And because they make this read, the Luna's actually relatively in position. Ends up being a bit of a weird fight, but you can see the silence from Fata here. Once again, a little bit awkward against Leshrac to go in, but you can see he's just going to create havoc on the backline. It makes it really awkward for these heroes to want to run into the fight. And you have to consider as well, because of how Night Stalker functions, he gets 50 bonus damage from his ulti, which actually makes him a threat to these ranged heroes in the backline. But yeah, Fada goes in, and they just get scared of him. Guys, this is a natural reaction in Dota, which is why I love this play so much. When people get run at, they just run away. In all reality, they kind of should have ignored him. I think they wanted to kite out, but they kind of didn't get the message that, hey, my gyrocopter isn't out. And so they really panicked. Even though it was a 5 Fada, they hard panicked. Like, this gyro gets stunned, right? He gets stunned by this Malefice stun plus Talon, which is a long stun. It's 1.35 seconds at all levels, and he just gets completely left to the dirt. Nothing he could have done. He was just stuck, and we talked about it. No way they can save. Usually, this team comp, you heal them, you Heavenly Grace them, you follow up with Ravage. Not going to save you when you get doomed. You're just stuck. And if Gyro has no flak, and no Satanic at least, he's just not going to do anything. There's just a sick fight from Fada. Like, I just want to point out, like, these type of things. When people are like, oh, I can't carry his 5. It's like, do you have the awareness to say, hey, they're going to run up our triangle here. Be careful, or let's set up for a fight. Like, do you make those reads? And then on top of that, in the team fight, do you get, like, these massive silences off? He just completely zoned them out. Look, they're not in position. They're so scared. It's so awkward for them. And this fight is just a disaster. That Ravage was horrible. I guess it ended up almost killing the Razor, but it definitely wasn't too good. And it ends up being a very convincing fight as he runs down the Wyvern as well. Next, let's look at the carry. Skitter's going for this Mask and Madness BKB build. I would like to say he goes a very different build this game. It's not too different. It's pretty normal for people to split D-Lance into BKB if they think a fight's going to happen. So keep this in mind. Some pretty cool advanced stuff here. Basically, when you're playing these hard carries that go Lance, even if it's TB, Luna, it doesn't matter, Drow, you have the option to essentially get a BKB earlier if you need it by doing this. Mid-fight here, literally right before the fight starts, he switches over all of his items, he unlocks the Mithril Hammer, and gets his BKB shipped to him. I don't think it ended up being too big of a difference in this fight, but obviously if Leshrac does go in, it gives him the option to run in here. Right? He's able to pop his BKB, and, you know, once again, it wouldn't have mattered there, I just thought it was cool. And that was the big turning point for Tundra. You know, that's why controlling that portion of the map is so important. If you happen to win a fight, it's just a free Roshan, and you guys know, Roshan just lets you do whatever you want, lets you control whatever portion of the map you want to play, and that's exactly what they do. A brief lesson I'd like to teach here as well is that it's okay not to constantly play aggressive with Aegis. Guys, remember, please stop killing yourself just because you have Aegis. Like, I almost want to tell people to stop roshing just because of how bad they are at using Aegis. Follow this rule, okay? Do not push the tower unless you have, when you have Aegis, unless you have all of your big spells up and a vision advantage, right? Like a smoke. Or like you know where they are. Right here, who has ulti on Tundra? Nobody! However, you want to know how many Lunas would run down the mid lane? Regardless, because they're like, I have Aegis. I watched a video at some point, maybe it was one of mine, who said, you need to push when you have Aegis. But that has been, it's a very dangerous idea. It's a very, very dangerous idea. Because, look, nope. Okay, he probably did. He used it to farm. But nope. They're kind of coming up now, obviously. Not really Black Hole, it's 200 second cooldown, but, you know, he just wants to wait. Just wait. Guys, wait. A lot of the time, when you get Aegis, you're using big spells to win the fight. Chill. Wait for those big spells. Unless, of course, the enemy team has even bigger spells, right? But obviously, they're going to value Doom this game. Obviously, they're going to value the Black Hole. They're going to value, you know, their Dark Ascension and their Eclipse a little bit more than, you know, Ravage and Winter's Curse. Even Guardian Angel is just not that effective this game, right? And so they don't have to worry about that coming up. Instead, he hits his triangle. Can you believe it? Farming triangle with Ancients? Most people would flame you for this. It's stupid. Don't get it's fine. Wait for the timing and then play around the timing. They even look to jump mid here. Now he wants to force it. Can you see the difference? Good. It's good. Very good. Another thing I'd like to mention is he did actually rebuild his Dragonlance. It's still just like a really good Luna item. You know, being able to stay far away in the fight is just so nice. Also, Luna's still a good hero. You get your Lucent Beam cooldown, you get your Shard, and, you know, you're vibing. You just get to spam those beams from the backline. You can see such good kiting here, understanding, hey, my BKB is down. Yes, I have Aegis, but a lot of the time you don't want to burn Aegis if you don't have to. Another thing that people get wrong, they just burn Aegis because they have it. You want to keep your team in position. If he was to die here to the Leshrac, what would be the negative consequences, guys, okay? This is kind of advanced stuff, but, like, really, think about it, okay? So, if he was to die here and man up to Lesh here, maybe he would kill him or drop the Lesh slow. He's pretty strong, obviously. He's still got Mask of Madness. But the thing is, right, it would make Lesh stay in position. It's a big thing about retreating. Even if you think you're potentially stronger than someone, or you have an Aegis for that matter, you still shouldn't man up, because you can always use the Aegis later on. Let's say GPK just ran away. Okay. I'll just wait for my Racer to respawn and use it later on. So there's that. Or, right, or you bait him in. And because the Leshrac was like, maybe I can chase, he overextends just slightly, and they're able to use that little bit of a gap to eventually chase him down. GPK didn't even go that far. In your average pub, you can bait people literally to your fountain, even if you're stronger than them. People think like, oh, the Luna's running away from me. I must be stronger. They don't actually know. And so a big part of being good at this game is being able to know that, hey, I'm stronger, but I can keep my team in position by not overextending, right? I don't have to make them come save me under a tier 2, and I can bait the enemy team in, as well as preserve the Aegis. And now we're going to see a major smoke by Tundra. Every single cooldown is up, clearly paying very close attention to that. Teamfight breaks out. You know, we'll actually watch from Snake King's perspective. He does have the BKB at this point in the game. Let's see how he executes on this fight. What does he do? Generally, what I would expect him to do this game is look for any opportunity to get a curse off away from the Wyvern, or at least a curse that's going to last at least 2 seconds, you know, something where it can stall up the gyro. So he ends up BKBing the Ravage to avoid it. Unfortunately, he got hit by Flak quite a bit. It's just such an annoying counter to the Black Hole. So funny enough, he actually had a pretty rough fight there, so he just has to kite out. Happens, you know? It was a tough situation, and that's the thing, you know? He just doesn't go in. I love it. Just doesn't go in. Look, that's actually great. You know, I didn't even expect to see this when I loaded in. I expected him to get a Black Hole off here because he BKB'd, but nope, just didn't even use it. But why? Because how many pub players would Black Hole here, guys, right? How many people would Black Hole? Most of them, right? They'd be like, oh, I have the Black Hole. You know, it's a team fight, I have the Black Hole. Where's the black hole? There was none, because Nightfall has really good awareness, really good kiting. On top of that, the Wyvern's chilling in the back with the Blink Dagger, waiting to cancel it. Right? It's very clear. You know, just look at the Wyvern on the minimap. Very clear. So this fight goes very south. Why did it go south? Luna used BKB. Razor used BKB. Doom used BKB. This guy is, you know, who cares? BKB. They used every single one of their BKBs. They didn't kill any cores. Omni Knight bought back. We're out. Super beautiful. I love that. I love that. And Snake King, like, most pub players would just have baited all of Tundra to feed there. They would have thrown the entire game. Because yes, their BKBs ran out, but how many people actually pay attention to their teammates' BKBs or communicate, oh, I don't know my BKB, we need to get out, guys. It's important though, it's game changing. Now skipping ahead here a little bit, Snake King actually observes that the Winter's Curse was used, which you know means what? It means that he can do whatever he wants. He can black hole whomever, and so essentially if he sees the Leshrac out of position, he can just drop the black hole on him. I believe here we're going to see our last team fight of the game. This is a Roche fight. Let's just watch from the outside of the fight here and kind of see what goes down and what happens. So as we see the fight go down, it actually ends up being a very aggressive fight. I think the idea of Tundra here, but they were probably communicating to each other. Snake King was probably saying, hey, I can't get a black hole off if you don't go on Wyvern. So I'm almost 100% sure that they're doing one of two things. They're either looking for Omni Knight to prevent him from heavily gracing the gyro, and then they're going to doom gyro, or they're going to look to go on the back line. So let's see. It's going to be one or the other. Yeah, it looks like they're going for the Wyvern. They even doom the Wyvern. So yeah, Snake King definitely was like, guys, I can't I can't black hole, guys. But yeah, it's you know, it's always good to talk about these type of things in team fights. It's like, hey, what can you do? And what do you know? They go onto the Wyvern, and yes, sir. Beautiful black hole onto the BKB gyro, onto the Heavenly Grace gyro, onto the Tidehunter. Literally the two heroes that we talked about in the draft, in the situations in which you'd want to black hole them. The Heavenly Grace, the BKB, the Tidehunter, and that's exactly what happens. Tide does not get his Ravage off to start the fight, just absolutely hard countered out by these BKBs, plus this Midnight Pulse, and it's a great fight. Communication at its finest, team fighting at its finest, understanding, hey, what are our win conditions in these fights? What do I need to do to enable my teammates? A lot of the time, people only have the awareness to think about what enables them in a team fight. Think about your win conditions, right? Think about, hey, you know, what hero does the most damage on my team? What hero has the highest impact spells? How do I make that high impact spell do a lot of damage? For instance, let's say an Echo Slam, right? Maybe you need to just run in, but not too far, because if you go too far, the enemy team's going to easily split up, see that the Echo Slam's going to come and kite. But if you bait, maybe, like, let's say you go on a Luna, but then you run away, they're going to be like, oh, he messed up. They're going to chase, then you get off a good, you know, Echo. I don't know if that made sense. I know that was kind of like a quick explanation, but I think it's like one of those things that a lot of people don't think about. And to finally end off the game with their 20k lead, we got a refresher on the Enigma. Let's take a look at the fight from the Razor's perspective, who actually went Ags, Refresher, Black Kingbar, or in proper order, Black Kingbar, Ags, Refresher. Pretty crazy build, clearly just playing around this ultimate. Kind of cool though, it does give you double BKB, which is really nice on Razor. That's actually honestly the biggest part of the Refresher, as good as it is on the Ags ult. You know, of course, it's just like this hero really can't function without BKB. It just can't. It's too easily kited without. You know, it has no inherent mobility spell, which once again seems stupid because you have a like literal movement speed spell, but in the late game, movement speed isn't, you know, you're gonna get hit by one Wyvern Q and not be able to move. Even Degen Aura for that matter, or Gush. Oh, I love this play. Okay, so what Tundra actually did, once again, this is just such good reads by Tundra, just constantly making reads. Dude, these players are so smart. Always thinking about the game. They're like, okay, Enigma showed top, Nightstalker showed top, VP is going to take this as a sign to invade bottom, right? And that's actually exactly what happened. They knew some heroes, right, were top. They're like, oh, maybe we'll have a numbers advantage bottom. So what ends up happening? They prepare for this, and then they get the vision advantage. Because I always talk about this in Dota or in my coaching sessions, but essentially there's two major things that dictate late game fights that aren't just like mechanics and spell casting, right? Like how people click their buttons. Of course, that's a huge deal too, but let's assume spell casting and item casting is perfect or close to perfect. The big two things are numbers advantages, right? Numbers advantages, and vision. Obviously, what spells you have as well, but let's assume everything's up, everything's even, right? Numbers advantages and vision. So here they didn't immediately have the numbers advantage because of the Enigma, but they have the vision, and because of this vision, Gyro gets linked, and that's all you need to know. Like, Gyro gets linked, this guy doesn't have that much damage yet. He does have a Daedalus, but, you know, if he loses 170 damage, that's literally 50% of his damage, and that's not too good. So he gets up a double ult onto 9, They get a really easy jump onto the Omni Knight because of the vision, a doom onto the gyro, and this fight is donezo. Definitely nothing they can do. And so another incredible read by Tundra. They expected the desperation play. I call that a desperation play. It's very common to see in Dota. Anytime the enemy team is behind, that is when, especially the higher and higher you get, you should expect more and more smokes, because people will be like, hey, the only play we have in this game is basically to look for a numbers advantage, and so you should predict that. And that's exactly what Tundra did. So just super crazy awareness. Beautiful gameplay. It's been a pleasure to watch them. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I know this was very educational and very like not hypey and, you know, like fun, but hopefully you guys find it fun in a different way, because I do. But nonetheless, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one, and I'm out. Peace. And that's all. But remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the gameleap website, where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace.